Hi, I'm Steve Morgan, and you're already wondering, why am I looking at these bookshelves? Where is he? Well, I'm here, I'm arrived, I've got my cup of tea, got my seat. Everybody else got their chairs? No, comfy chairs next door, somebody dragging him through? Fine, okay. And what did he say? Oh, so-and-so's going to be arriving late. How long? 5 minutes late? Shall we? Let's just hang around and wait. Somebody else has got the kettle on anyway. That's my way of introducing this very brief video focused on the idea of meetings. Something you all get involved in. We all get involved in them from time to time. But it is one of those things that often saddens the heart. So I want to focus a few thoughts on how we can keep meetings being quite effective. If you look at, I suppose, a dictionary definition of meetings, it will be stating that they're a formal or informal gathering of people very deliberately coming together to debate a particular issue or problem and to make decisions. Might well go on to say that these meetings are defined by the time, the place, the frequency in which they occur. But I also like reflecting on some of those quotes that you'll see in the literature. And Thomas Sowell, a US economist, suggested that the least productive people are those most in favour of holding meetings. And in a similar vein, J.K. Galbraith once said that meetings are indispensable if you don't want to do anything. Now, those particular quotes, yes, that's the negative reflection on this whole idea of meetings. And I'm sure for some people they're already thinking, yeah, that's my experience. Well, it got me thinking about my experience from practice development projects over a number of years. Just going to read you a list of 11 of my reflections. This will be in the handout that's embedded in the email that this video is also embedded in. So my reflections are that a meeting is a forum where two or more people hang out in order to share their feelings of insecurity and indecision. Sharing feelings of insecurity excuse me, and indecision. A meeting is a pressure valve for releasing quantities of hot air and dissipating stress. Thirdly, a meeting is a platform for the self-important to bore an audience. I hope that's not going on at the moment. Fourthly, a meeting is a means for communicating either that which is already known or doesn't need to be known by the recipient or recipients. A meeting is a forum for converting perceived understanding into real confusion. A meeting is a place where people with little of significance to do can feel they have a sense of purpose. Just don't ask them to define what that sense of purpose is. A meeting is the promotion of irrelevance into an art form. A meeting is a place where sanitised plans can be developed in splendid isolation from the realities they are meant to serve. A meeting is the best way of filling time between the moments of actually doing something. A meeting is the least effective way of motivating and energising people. And the 11th and final reflection is that a meeting is a way of reminding us we have too much time on our hands and exercise too little in terms of initiative or real trust in others. So there's a whole bunch of pretty negative reflections on experiences of when we come together in these things that we then call meetings. But it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't have to be that way. After all, if we think Rudy Giuliani, when he was in charge of something as complex as the city of New York, would take no longer than 45 minutes in the morning, gathering together all of his senior people in order to manage that complexity as to what's going on and planning what would be happening. So I can assure you that if whatever business you're in, you really focus your energies, then you should get everything done in less than 30 minutes. Significantly less than 30 minutes, I would have thought, if we compare that with the complexity of New York City. So here's a few suggestions I've got, 7 suggestions or potential solutions to the problem that those reflections have set up. Firstly, only hold a meeting when there is a very clear purpose or need. The number of times we fall into that standard routine, well, this is when we get together, this is what's always happened. A meeting needs to be very focused and very specific. Secondly, that issue of timing, I mentioned Rudy Giuliani back there. Timing is important, either start at the beginning or at the end of a shift, or time when your work as a team happens to take place. Take the minimum amount of time. So forget what I was doing in my introduction here. Don't sit around saying, has everybody got their tea and coffee? Have you all got comfortable chairs? Is everybody here? Shall we wait? No, waste of time. Get focused. If you look at, I particularly notice it in one or two of those TV police programs where somebody walks into the room, gathers everybody together. Instantly they focus. Some of them are sitting down at their desks, some are stood up, leaning against the wall, but things get done, things get focused, things get discussed, and they're into action pretty quick. Take note. That's the way we should be trying to focus our meetings. Particularly the idea of standing up, getting a number of people stood up. That tends to focus the mind a bit. Comfy chairs, not the best of ideas for meetings. Time drifts on, people go to sleep. Thirdly, only invite the people who really need to be involved. Give good reasons to others, just in case they wonder why they're being left out. But let's keep meetings focused. A number of times I've sat in on meetings where there's a large group and pretty much a third or less are actively involved for most of that meeting. Most people will only be actively engaged for a very small part of the time. You're wasting a lot of people's time. Not surprisingly, in this day and age, they'll get their phones out and quite legitimately start checking other work, emails, all that kind of stuff. Fourthly, chairing meetings is a skill, so make sure it's performed only by those who are necessarily skilled to do it. Likewise, the drawing up of agendas. Don't just assume everybody's going to take it in turns on a rota. It is a skill. We want meetings to be effective. Let's support people who have the confidence or develop the confidence in those who are prepared to take that skill on. 5, have a clear call to action for everybody involved. So we're saying we're inviting people that need to be there. Also, let's hope that everybody's leaving having gained the necessary information and know what action they should be taking. Number 6, avoid falling into that notion of routine meetings. They're there because they've always been there. That is of no use to anybody. If you do have routine meetings, and most teams really do, then make sure they've addressed all the above points that I've already made. And last but not least, number 7, permit a degree of fun. Encourage people to talk about those kind of wacky ideas off the top of the head thoughts. Not that those are the final decisions that we make, but they can inform that process of decision making, helping us to get to those perhaps more appropriate or creative decisions in the end. So there's 7. They come from a strengths perspective. So I would say really use the idea of a strengths approach in trying to focus our attention on how we make the most productive use of meetings. Okay, thank you.